Head coach Brad Stevens understands that when it comes down to the experience of his second unit heading into the playoffs, that the final score of today's 112-106 loss against the Atlanta Hawks isn't as important as it would be in most games, right, Chris?
Right.
I mean, instead of focusing on how this game played itself out in the final minutes of the fourth quarter, Brad Stevens instead focused on guys like Shane Larkin, guys like Greg Monroe, you know, guys like even Jabari Bird got into the conversation.
Yeah.
Second unit guys that could be very vital into the next, in the first playoff series for this Boston Celtics team that's scheduled to kick off within less than a week. Right, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, these bench guys are going to be vastly important going forward. These guys, they're going to have to win as a team with the injuries that have plagued them. You know, we're endlessly talking about that. So now it's time to focus on these guys like Greg Monroe, like a Jabari Bird. Even though he's not eligible for the playoffs, it's important to see this bench unit kind of coming together and being real contributors for this team. You got Greg Monroe scoring 15-plus points in 3 straight games now. That's huge. They're going to need him going forward. They're going to need guys like Shemi Ojale off the bench. Like, these are big improvements. And so, you know, like you said, finished with a loss, but this is a big improvement for Brad Stevens and his bench. You
know, you're seeing a comfort level with Greg Monroe. You know, we saw the fatigue out of him in those first couple of weeks, but now he looks like a completely different player.
He does.
Shane Larkin did make crucial mistakes, obviously, at the end of this game. I mean, a play that could have easily put them right back into it.
Yeah.
But you want to see him get those minutes. You want him to get those reps because at the end of the day, he's the first one off the bench, or at least one of the first guys off the bench when Terry Rozier needs a breather.
Agreed. Yeah, it's the aggressiveness of some of the bench guys like Monroe, like Larkin, rather than, you know, Shemi Ojale settling for threes. They can go to the hoop and be aggressive. And Monroe as well, you know, he's playing aggressive and scoring 17, close to 20 points a game, you know, so they're going to need these guys off the bench for sure.
Lastly, Chris, one final take. Jason Tatum, I mean, look, I know this is the lowly Hawks. I know this isn't a team that you could say, like, oh, okay, well, he put up 19 3/4 against. That's really impressive. But 19 3/4, really efficient. I mean, he just continues to improve.
Yeah, he does. He's really efficient, well on his way to 30 points if he had played in the fourth quarter. So, again, Brad Stevens has to be happy with his development. He's going to be a key contributor going forward.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Chris will be in Washington, D.C. next game. He'll be covering that one for CLNS Media. And then following that, we will be back here at TD Garden for the season finale right here at the Garden, CLNS Media. This has been the Garden Report. I am Josue Pavone.